It really is. And to be standing this close, it's kind of surreal. It never, I was here once in the fall for one of President Biden's visits, and it's the same thing, same presence. You don't really expect to see something like this so close to home, but here it is. All right. It looks like they're going to actually move those stairs. Oh, go ahead. Absolutely. And, obviously we aren't in election season right now. However, as I'm sure many of us out there know, Pennsylvania tends to be a swing state. It's, always back and forth, red and blue. Obviously, a very contentious state as far as the election goes. And with midterms coming up, I'd imagine that's probably a key reason for the location of this visit. However, I'm still interested to know exactly why, the Poconos were chosen of all places. Obviously, Poconos used to be a hub for many in New York City. President Trump obviously has spent a lot of time in New York City, so it makes me wonder if maybe that could be a reason for his choice of a venue. However, I don't want to speculate too much. We are seeing those ramps being brought up to the plane here. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit for you, not making things too grainy. Uh, Looks to be some members of the press up there as they're getting that staircase moved up. And we should be seeing the president any minute now. Yeah, press security. A lot of security here tonight, as expected. Not just on the tarmac, like I said before, they're quite literally everywhere. But right. Yeah. I can't even imagine the amount of planning and logistics that goes into a visit like this. And to think the amount of visits, amount of trips the president takes each year, each day, each week, uh, definitely need a team to make something like that possible. And clearly he does. As you said before, though, what a presence this plane has here on the tarmac. Now we're standing probably 300 feet away, and people are starting to exit off the back there. It's hard to tell who that may be. We are still waiting on that other staircase to be moved up. That is usually where the president uh, will exit the plane, probably waiting for his team to get off the plane first. And we do see that staircase now moving up there. No, we haven't spoken to anyone from the airport, but I was wondering that myself before. We did see a commercial flight land about 30 minutes before Air Force One's arrival. They brought it up to one of the gates. I'll actually pan over. You can see that plane right there. That came in, like I said, just about 30 minutes before Air Force One did. Didn't seem to be impacted at all. But again, I haven't spoken with anyone from the airport to, you know, see what the logistics of that may be if they kind of paused air traffic in the area temporarily, or what the typical procedure is for something like that. Um, Absolutely. I think other than the press that's here tonight, they might have the closest view of Air Force One without being on the tarmac. I don't know if we showed you guys video earlier, but there are quite a bit of PennDOT trucks. I'm not going to move my camera right now, just in case he does come out of that door. But PennDOT has quite a few trucks blocking the fence here all around the tarmac as a security measure. And from what I've been told, that's something that's been recently implemented. After that incident in Butler, Pennsylvania, some time ago, it's kind of creating an additional shield between the fence and the view of Air Force One here from the outside of the tarmac. Um, but man, we have a pretty awesome view here where we're standing. And he should be coming out of that door any minute now. Yeah, absolutely. I know we had some delays earlier in the afternoon as all of these arrivals were happening, and with his arrival being pushed back, I would imagine there might be even more in that direction. It's still not like I said before. We don't really know how he's going to be getting up to Mount Airy tonight. Could be by helicopter. They could be taking him to a regional airport by helicopter, and then driving his motorcade to the casino from there. Uh, Really, there are a lot of possibilities there. We do know he's on the ground now. Obviously, now we're just waiting for him to exit the plane. Right, and it seems like things have only been getting more expensive, not just during President Trump's second term, but in the last 4 or 5 years, ever since COVID. Honestly, it seems like everything has gotten more expensive. So I'm definitely interested to hear what his plans may be and how he might be planning on addressing these things. Uh, Hopefully, we will find that out shortly, and we're all kind of anticipating uh, some sort of an address here at the airport. But with how cold it is and how they are already running behind, it's hard to say if that will happen or not. I was just told though that the last time a president did visit Monroe County was actually President Kennedy in the 1960s. I definitely was not around for that time, but pretty cool fact. It's been quite some time since we've seen a. Yeah, absolutely. Could be seeing him here any minute. Can't say the same for the airport, but I guess people don't have the luxury of getting inside the tarmac like we do for tonight. That's why we're here giving you a live look to watch from home. You can see the president's team kind of surrounding that plane there. Yeah, they are running. The rotors are not spinning. The engines are on though. That's what you are probably hearing right now. If I just pan over for a quick second, you can see they're kind of just sitting there on standby. I'm not seeing a motorcade here. Like I said, we did see one. Oh, there is President Trump leaving Air Force One, walking down the stairs. Giving him just as much. Yeah, that's about as much as it's going to go for us here. You can see him shaking some hands there. I know this video is very grainy. It's hard to tell exactly who he's speaking with there right now. Let me fire up my camera. I wish I knew. There he is walking across the tarmac now. It seems like he's going to be boarding one of those helicopters there directly. May not be addressing us here tonight. Yes, I would imagine. I'm sure he's saving his words for his address there tonight. I know they are running a little bit behind here, obviously, and it is brutally cold out here tonight. So I'm sure that's probably both of those things are a factor as far as his address here at the airport. And as I said, that wasn't something that was set in stone or promised. It was hinted at, but we weren't really sure if we would uh, see him address us here tonight. Seems like that is not going to be the case. I believe he did get onto that Marine One helicopter, though. It was hard to tell with this camera, though. Yeah, so from what I've been hearing, it sounds you can see the rotor starting to spin on one of those Ospreys there. Uh, from what people have been saying here, it sounds like the helicopters are going to be heading up to a more regional airport up in Monroe County, and then the motorcade might be taking him to the casino from there. That's I can't say that for 100% fact, but that seems to be what the plan is. Like I said before, we did see that motorcade with the president's vehicle leave the leave the airport here earlier tonight. I would say that was around 3, 4 o'clock. So time wise, it definitely could have made its way up there between then and now. Looks like they're starting to close up the helicopter there and prepare for takeoff. Okay. There's another shot of Air Force One there for you. Absolutely a presence here on the tarmac at Avoca. Not something we see very often in NEPA. Those rotors are starting to spin there on both of the Marine One helicopters. Seems like everyone is now inside all of those aircraft. We should be seeing them take off here very shortly. We can hear those engines starting to get a little bit louder. know what? That might be it. You can't hear them at all on your end. Okay. Well, hopefully it's coming through for our viewers there at home. They're definitely getting louder. Those rotors are starting to spin. It seems like they're prepared to take off. I'm interested to see if they'll take off. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about the plane coming in, someone said that he was near Reading or Pottsville, and I think it was 15, 20 minutes later, they were touching down or close to touching down here in Avoca. So, you know, obviously a helicopter is moving a little slower than Air Force One, but I don't think they have a long trip to the casino here tonight. That's for sure. All right, we got those helicopters starting to move here now. Yeah, maybe they'll beat some of that 81 traffic at this hour. I'm sure most commuters around us wish they had a helicopter. Definitely, and I almost wonder if that was the reason why the motorcade was here, just as a sort of backup. Um, if there was anything, I mean, it's obviously very cold, a little bit windy, but if that matters all that much. To, military air. Helicopter, so it's going to start leaving our view here. That's they're bringing them out for the runway so they can. Ospreys are not something you see. Ospreys are
You're breaking up. Your microphone's breaking up just a little bit, Avery.
ospreys are not something you see. Ospreys aren't something you see very often. Um, I've personally never seen one. Got three of them. I do.
Yeah.
So, President Trump's helicopter has left two. Second, I'm not sure if they're basically waiting for the rest of them to catch up. With those, with them now leaving, we should be seeing them up at the casino. Of course, we have team coverage up there, outside and inside the casino, waiting to give you the full look at President Trump's visit in Monroe County tonight. And as they said earlier, we will have a live view of President Trump's entire address at the casino here tonight, available for you on air and online at 2822news.com. For now, reporting live in Pittston Township, Avery Nape, 2822 News. Candace?
Avery, thank you. Appreciate that. And as I mentioned, thankfully that there isn't like crazy wind, snow, rain to affect the president's visit. It is definitely cold, though. Let's get the latest now with Chief Meteorologist Josh Odell.
All right, yeah, I guess we got to talk about weather and some snow. That's coming in our direction. We are watching some snow showers across Pennsylvania right now. That said, most of that is not reaching the ground, but pay attention to Chicago and Minneapolis. That is racing towards us, and it will be here in the morning. Right now, downtown Scranton is quiet, but cold. It's 24. It feels like it's 14. Our next stop is in Schuylkill County. This is Pottsville. It's 21, but it feels like it's about 9. Temperatures are probably at their lowest point for the night. We're in the 20s, but I do think by morning it will be a little bit closer to 30. So outside of a small snow shower this evening, steadier snow moves in first thing in the morning. By lunch, it warms up enough that we have this mix of snow and rain. It all comes to an end tomorrow afternoon. The steady action comes to an end anyway. Light snow starting between about 4 and 9. In the valleys and the farther south we live, it warms up enough that we will see a mix of light snow and rain. Steady mix of rain and snow tapers off between 1 and 5. This is not going to be a big storm for us. Valleys coating to an inch or two at best. Some higher elevations, perhaps 2 to 4. I would say maybe from about the back mountain through Sullivan County, there could be about a 5 or 6 in here, but that's really going to be about it. The other nice thing we have working for us Wednesday afternoon, these temperatures, they're above freezing. So that's going to help out with road conditions. And that is why, yeah, there will be some slippery spots. Anytime it snows, there's going to be some slippery spots. But temperatures above freezing will really help to improve those road conditions quickly. Unfortunately, that is not going to last. It gets cold again quickly. Most of Thursday in the 20s. And if that's not enough, it'll be windy. Your future alert weather forecast tonight, light snow starting between about 4 and 9 in the morning. Temperatures getting a little bit warmer. It should turn out to be around 30. Tomorrow, mix of light snow and light rain. Tapers off, steady light snow and rain taper off between about 1 and 5. With this snow-rain combo, that's why it's a weather alert day. Some snow showers on Thursday. Friday night, Saturday morning, snow showers, some light snow possible Saturday night. And then on Sunday, it will be cold again. Highs are going to be in the 20s. And there you have it, my friends. Not a big snow event for us tomorrow, but just enough to be a little bit of a nuisance.
Sure.
Quick mover again. These storms are racing in and racing out. Done before you know it.
I kind of like that. Thank you. Well, President Trump, of course, as we've been mentioning, is set to take the stage tonight in the Poconos, where he will address a range of topics, including the economy and rising costs. Let's, as we anticipate the president's arrival at Mount Airy Casino and Resort in the Poconos, we'll turn to Connor Core, who joins us now live in Paradise Township. Hi, Connor.
Yeah, good evening, Candace. Like you said, the anticipation has been building. We just saw President Trump get at the airport. He'll be making his way to Mount Pocono here just very shortly. I want to get to the video that we've been shooting throughout this entire evening to give you a look of what we've been seeing here at the casino. We've seen people speaking. The lines have been forming throughout the entire region in the casino resort. Some people telling me they've been here since last night, waiting to get to the front of the line. Hundreds hit the line to get their first look at President Trump with this new domestic plan. Now, according to the White House, the president will be speaking about affordability around the country and lowering the cost of living. Outside, PennDOT is on standby with plow trucks. They're going to be served as movable barricades if they need to be used. That's what one Secret Service agent told me. Trump supporters I spoke with came as far as close as East Stroudsburg. Others coming as far as Wisconsin, over in the Midwest, including Missouri. We saw one license plate coming from that Midwest country as well. I spoke with Congressman Rob Bresnahan a few moments ago, asking him about affordability, specifically in Monroe County. According to the Pocono Mountain Economic Development Corporation's December overview, the age groups from 45 and older are higher than the national average in Monroe County, and in the county specifically, the age range from 55 to 64 is nearly 4 percentage points higher than the country. Now, Candace, like we've been talking about, the anticipation is building. President Trump is currently on his way to the Mount Airy Casino Resort to speak to plenty of people here in this ballroom. As I look to my right, every single seat is filled here in the ballroom. Like I said, expecting the remarks from President Trump with this new affordability plan that he has rolled out this week. We'll send it back to you at the desk.
Hey, Avery, thank you so much. We'll continue our live team coverage this evening as well. Of course, not everyone outside of Mount Airy Resort is happy with the president. Just down the road, a protest was set up to send a clear message to Mr. Trump about their disapproval of his administration. And 2822's Heidi Martens joins us now with that part of our coverage. Heidi?
I think here comes the piece of shit now!
Good evening, Candace. Right now I'm at the 5-point intersection in Mount Pocono, where those that don't really agree with Trump have been protesting for hours. They chose this spot because there's a high chance that this is where the president will be driving through in just a few minutes. Protesters say they want to be visible so that they are positioning themselves along this route because it gives them the best chance to have their message be seen.
Donald Trump recently said that affordability is a hoax, and the vast majority of us here live the reality that we know affordability is not a hoax.
I don't know if you could see behind me, but there are dozens of protesters that are still protesting, and they have been here since about 2 o'clock. We'll keep you posted on air and on our app 2822. Reporting in Mount Pocono, Heidi Martens, 2822 News.
All right, we saw a lot of law enforcement too, just passing behind you too as well, Heidi. Thank you. Now, supporters of President Trump, of course, eager to hear what he does have to say tonight when he gives his remarks inside Mount Airy. They began lining up as early as this morning, very early this morning, and 2822's Joe Mason spoke with some of them who've been standing in line for hours. He joins us now with more coverage. Joe?
Well, good evening. A packed house at Mount Airy Casino and Resort, all waiting to hear from President Trump and what he has to say later this evening. We're just moments. Anticipation is building. As you saw, he arrived in a Boca way here to Mount Airy. Now, we spoke with people, plenty of people earlier today about how they feel about grocery prices, how they feel about gas. Ultimately, they all believe in the president. That gas prices are going down. They believe that. Now, they say it will take time to get there, though, but president.
I go to a lot of these rallies all over the country because the Donald Trump rally is the greatest show on earth. I mean, he's our first rock star superhero president. He's like the real life Tony Stark. They should just call him President Iron Man.
Definitely some interesting opinions, I'm sure, that are happening at Mount Airy Resort. We've got live team coverage that we will continue throughout the evening there. We're having a little bit of a trouble with our live shot here, but remember, stick with 2822 News as we bring you the latest of the coverage of President Trump, both on air and online. And again, a reminder, we'll be streaming his full speech with no ads on our 2822 Now app and social media pages. It's free to download the app, free to stream if you're interested in listening to everything the president has to say this evening. A state Senate committee is looking into cost of repairs and security upgrades at the governor's residence and Governor Shapiro's private home. The committee issued some subpoenas today as it looks into the costs over the objections of Democrats. Republicans say the subpoenas are needed because of inconsistent responses from PennDOT and state police. The repairs and upgrades were made in the wake of the April arson at the governor's residence. In October, Cody Balmer pleaded guilty to the attempted murder of the governor and other charges. Attorney General Dave Sunday has announced the next steps for Pennsylvanians impacted by the national Google settlement. Consumers who made purchases on the Google Play Store between August 2016 and September of 2023 are eligible for payments starting in spring of 2026. Those impacted received notifications last week. The Commonwealth is expected to receive $20.5 million for consumers. Once the settlement is passed, payments will automatically be made via PayPal or Venmo. Dollar General will pay Pennsylvania more than $1.5 million to settle claims of overcharging customers in Pennsylvania. According to the state attorney general, Dollar General overcharged customers in the Commonwealth 40% of the time during inspections between 2019 and 2023. Dollar General operates in more than 900 locations in PA, and under the settlement, Dollar General will give Pennsylvania $1.55 million and train its employees on price tag issues and maintain sufficient staffing. And State Treasurer Stacey Garrity is reminding Pennsylvanians who have not already applied for the property tax and rent rebate program, but they should do so before the end of the month. Property tax and rent rebate payments were dispersed starting July 1st and paid more than 500,000 rebates totaling $307 million. The deadline to apply for the rebate is December 31st. And that will do it for 2822 News at 6. Thank you so much for watching. To get the latest news and updates, go to 2822news.com or streaming on our 2822 Now app.
I'm Raquel Martin here on Capitol Hill. Here are your latest headlines from the nation's capital this Tuesday. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was on Capitol Hill briefing the Gang of Eight. This comes, of course, amid growing tension between the U.S. and Venezuela. Our Kristen Escal reports.
We've heard members of Congress from both parties asking for more transparency on these boat strikes near Venezuela, especially that September attack when a second strike was launched. So far, 2 committees in Congress have requested more information about that incident. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth are meeting with top lawmakers behind closed doors.
I will ask Secretary Hegseth directly, will he commit to providing all senators access to the unedited tapes?
Lawmakers from both parties are calling for more information about an early September attack in the Caribbean on a boat the Trump administration says was carrying drugs. The Washington Post reported that a second strike was launched that killed 2 survivors of the first strike, following an order from Hegseth to kill everyone on board. The White House has confirmed the second strike, but denied Hegseth gave such an order. Those answers aren't sitting well with Democrats.
Americans deserve to see a video that will shock their conscience.
Republican Senator John Cornyn of Texas agrees the Pentagon should release the video.
Having said that, I support even deadly force against these drug cartels.
President Trump previously said he'd have no problem releasing the video to the public.
Whatever they have, we'd certainly release, no problem.
But on Monday, he said he'll leave that up to Hegseth.
Whatever he decides is okay with me.
So far, there have been 22 known strikes on boats in the Caribbean that the Trump administration says were carrying drugs. At least 87 people have been killed. In Washington, I'm Kristen Escal.
And House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries held a press conference ahead of that briefing with Secretary Hegseth.
The full video of the double tap strike should be released to the American people, so that the American people have an opportunity to determine for themselves whether that strike killing people who was shipwrecked and by all accounts were not presenting any threat to American military personnel, whether that kind of seemingly extrajudicial killing is consistent with American values. If Pete Hegseth and the administration think that their actions are justifiable, what are they hiding from the American people? Release the video.
I'm Maddie Beertemple here on Capitol Hill, where a Senate committee held a hearing about the dangers kids face online and what Congress should do about it.
I would give anything to have my son back.
Tamia Woods lost her 17-year-old son, James, to suicide. She testified before senators Tuesday that someone online blackmailed him, threatening to send sexually explicit images of him to friends and family unless he sent money.
Though he died by suicide, let me be clear. He was murdered.
That online encounter, known as sextortion, was the focus of the Senate committee's hearing, examining the new ways predators are targeting children online.
The imagery, the videos, the chats that we are seeing and reading are the most graphic that I have ever seen in my 20-year history.
Lauren Coffrin with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says there's been a massive increase in new kinds of child exploitation.
Reports of these brutal victimizations grew by 200% last year and continue rising.
But former Assistant U.S. Attorney Jessica Smolar says the law and sentencing guidelines haven't kept up.
Existing statutes do not adequately address the full scope or severe harm of these crimes.
That's why Senators Chuck Grassley and Dick Durbin introduced new bills to specifically address online sextortion and update sentencing guidelines.
I think that's something we can all work on together.
Durbin and Grassley's bills are among several that address social media, AI chatbots, and holding platforms accountable. Senator Lindsey Graham is calling for the Senate to spend a week working on those bills and potentially voting on one big package.
Are we all talk, or are we willing to act? Do y'all like that idea?
I sure do.
Great idea.
In Washington, I'm Maddie Beertemple.
Here's more from witnesses who testified about protecting children online.
And in those last moments, my son, who had everything to live for, felt like he had no other choice. A day that started with laughter, college friends, and joy ended with my husband finding our child unalive in our home in the middle of the day. No parent should ever enter a room and see that. I stand here because 19 and a half hours is not a short time in the digital world. It is a lifetime. It is enough time for someone to intervene, to flag an account, to cancel messages, to report this behavior. Yet no one stepped in. No system protected him. No platform stopped it. So my husband and I created the Do It for James Foundation. And since the day that James have died, we dedicated our lives to speaking out, teaching, and fighting so that no other parent feels the pain that sits in our heart every single moment of every single day. Large corporations continue to argue for rights while refusing to take responsibility. We are asking you to put laws in place that give us multiple avenues to protect our kids, because parental controls alone are not enough. Click here to opt out at age 13 is not protection. Predators thrive when the risk is low but reward is high. Criminals are making billions by exploiting our children because we tell our parents, monitor your kids better, while platforms refuse to monitor predators at all. How dare we lay blame on the victims while criminals walk free? Today, instead of checking on James' homework, instead of mailing him care packages to his college dorm, instead of cheering him on for track meets, I hold a picture of my son's photos that he never had a chance to see. Because that is all I have left. 17 and a half years of memories, but no new ones. So I am begging you to stand with us, stand up, do something, help us save lives. We may not be able to save them all, but with the right laws, with accountability, with real consequences, we can make it harder for predators to win. We can make it harder for another parent to bury their child. Please do it for James. Do it for every child whose name we never got a chance to learn.
During my career as a federal prosecutor, I personally handled and oversaw hundreds of child exploitation and human trafficking investigations and prosecutions. When I first began prosecuting these offenses, investigations often centered around physical evidence and traditional mail-based exchanges. Over time, I witnessed a monumental shift in the types of child sexual abuse material, also referred to as CSAM, that offenders collected, as well as their methods of collection. This shift was not limited to the sheer volume and disturbing nature of the material. It also encompassed the tools offenders used to acquire, share, and conceal CSAM. Today, every child exploitation case involves the criminal use of cellular phones and computers. Offenders use these tools to stockpile massive quantities of sexually explicit videos and images of children, frequently targeting prepubescent children. Violent depictions of infants and toddlers being sexually exploited were routinely collected by the defendants whom I prosecuted. Offenders also increasingly used advanced technology and platforms for CSAM trafficking. They congregate in online communities and darknet forums solely devoted to child exploitation. They can now more easily conceal their crimes and their identities through encryption, VPNs, the darknet, and remote erasure software. The law has not kept pace with the rapid technological advances or evolving sex offender behavior. United States Sentencing Guidelines, Section 2G 2.2, was designed when CSAM was distributed by mail. So it adds offense enhancements for actions common to all CSAM offenders today, like using a computer, possessing images of prepubescent minors, or amassing many images. The guideline enhancements apply broadly and no longer reflect varying levels of offender culpability or risk. Legislation is needed to amend the CSAM guidelines. The Sentencing Commission's June 2021 report found that Section 2G2 is outdated, leading judges to exercise their discretion to reduce sentences for child sexual offenders. The Commission's data for fiscal year 2019 showed that less than 30% of non-production child pornography offenders were sentenced within the recommended guidelines. This statistic reflects broad judicial dissatisfaction and leads to inconsistent sentencing nationwide. As federal prosecutors, my colleagues and I often considered plea offers to binding sentences to avoid the application of the insufficient sentencing guidelines and sentencing disparities. There are also emerging crimes that are not fully covered by existing criminal statutes, such as those committed by members of the violent online network 764. The 764 members befriend children sometimes as young as 9 years old through popular online platforms and then coerce them into escalating sexual, self-destructive, and violent behavior.
And as the Senate turns its attention to health care, leadership on both sides of the aisle held press conferences on Tuesday.
As you all know, we're going to have a vote this week on Thursday on a Democrat proposal to deal with the Biden COVID bonuses. And this is a vote, as you all know, we could have had weeks ago. It's been on offer now before we had to go through a 43-day government shutdown. But that's what the Democrats opted to do. And so at the end of the 43 days now, we're going to have a vote on their proposal, which, as it turns out, is really a proposal that just extends the status quo. Doesn't do anything to reform these Biden COVID bonuses in a way that would get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think the one thing that's clear about this, and I think you all who follow this subject know this, that the way that the program is structured, the money goes straight to the insurance companies. And the way that we think this ought to work is you ought to come up with a way in which you can deliver the benefit to the patients and not to the insurance companies, and that you shouldn't have hardworking Americans subsidizing affluent people, people who make a lot of money. And that's what their proposal continues to do. There is no income limit. There are $0 premiums. There are millions of Americans who don't even know they have coverage, and they have decided not to do anything. Zero reforms to this program. And so the bill that they're going to put on the floor will fail. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a path forward here. We also will have a vote. Our members have decided that we're going to vote on a Crapo-Cassidy proposal, which does the things that I mentioned. It actually does make health insurance premiums more affordable. It drives down, according to the Congressional Budget Office, premiums by double-digit levels. It delivers the benefit directly to the patient, not to the insurance company, and it does it in a way that actually saves money.
Republicans have one chance left to do something meaningful to lower costs, and that chance is simple. Work with Democrats to extend the ACA premium tax credits before they expire. Democrats have put forward the cleanest, fastest, most realistic solution, a 3-year extension of the current tax credits. No gimmicks, no poison pills. We'll move to vote on Thursday. Republicans have had all year to avoid this premium crisis. They ignored every warning. Every Democrat is united behind this fix. Republicans can't support anything that would bring meaningful relief to American people. Republicans are the reason we're now staring down a health care emergency. The choice is simple for them. Vote with Democrats to keep costs down, or vote to send premiums through the roof. And make no mistake, our proposal is the only realistic path left to prevent premiums from going up. First, it's a clean, straight extension of current law. Second, it directly tackles the premium spike. And third, every Democrat supports it, so it can pass the minute Republicans stop blocking it. On the Republican side, their story is very different. Their phony proposal is dead on arrival. One of the possibility they're considering, the Crapo-Cassidy bill, would not extend the ACA tax credits for a single day. That's what's driving the price up, and they're doing nothing about it. The bill not only fails to extend the tax credits, it increases costs, adds tons of new abortion restrictions for women, expands junk fees, and permanently funds cost-sharing reductions. Their bill is junk insurance. It's been repudiated in the past. The American people will repudiate it once again because it is junk insurance that puts the burden on people.
And I spoke one-on-one with Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal about extending those ACA subsidies, boat strikes in the Caribbean, and affordability. Take a listen.
I strongly, passionately support bringing forward this proposal to extend the health care tax credits that are literally the only way to make health care insurance affordable right away. We need to extend the subsidies that enable people to buy health care insurance right now, because they're going to the open exchanges during this open enrollment period, making decisions about whether they can afford health care insurance and seeing the premiums skyrocket. The only solution right away, immediately, is to extend these health care subsidies. There is an urgency, and I strongly support extending them simply, straightforwardly, without a lot of bells and whistles, so that Americans can afford health insurance.
You know, Republicans have been opposed to extending the subsidies as is. They've talked about potentially capping income, for instance. Why are we not seeing a compromise, and does this compromise the ability for a solution to pass before January 1st?
Republicans have shown no willingness, zero, to really compromise on extending these health care subsidies effectively so Americans can make use of them right away before open enrollment ends. They are in effect proposing repeal of the ACA. Their agenda from the very start, and they forced 70 votes on it, is to repeal the Affordable Care Act, not to reform it. And so these proposals, for example, for a health care savings account or lots of other sham ideas, are simply a way to repeal the Affordable Care Act and enable the insurance companies to skyrocket their premiums.
Constituents back at home, what should they anticipate come January 1st, given the trajectory that Congress is on when it comes to this issue?
Americans really get it. They understand that the Republicans' agenda is to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And that's why Republicans standing in the polls is plummeting, and they know it. They are running scared right now. They are trying to backfill and propose these sham ideas as fig leaves and window dressing. But the American people are telling me in Connecticut, stand strong. Make sure we have health insurance that is affordable, not double or triple the price now for the same kind of plan, because we're going to go without health insurance, which means going without health care.
But if Republicans don't agree to this 3-year extension, should they brace for a premium spike?
I'm angry and disappointed that Republicans are refusing to be realistic, despite their knowing what the devastating impact will be on the American people, but also they're going to be held accountable. Americans will vote with health care on the ballot next November, and that's why Republicans are running scared right now.
And then also we know that the White House has agreed to brief the Gang of 8 on that video that has become controversial, the second strike against that alleged drug boat that killed these shipwrecked individuals. Your thoughts on, I guess, this next step towards transparency? Are you concerned about the differing perspectives about what took place?
The American people, not just the Gang of 8, not just members of the Armed Services Committee where I serve, need to see that video. Americans deserve to see a video that will shock their conscience and show disregard blatantly for laws and norms and rules of morality. I think there should be subpoenas for that video to make them public, along with all the documents, other kinds of evidence that potentially shows criminal culpability, murder or war crimes or both. And the American people need and deserve to see it, not just the Gang of 8 or the full Armed Services Committee, although I would very much like to see those videos, but the American people as a whole.
And just lastly, we know the president is traveling to Pennsylvania. He's beginning his affordability tour to talk to the American people about how his administration is addressing the affordability crisis. Just your thoughts on the actions his administration has taken so far to address that. I'll let you start with that.
Donald Trump calling affordability a hoax would be laughable and comic if it were not so serious in rising prices impact on the American people. They know it, they see it. They experience it when they go to the grocery store or they pay their rent or electricity bills. Donald Trump can't disguise or dispel the truth about rising prices simply by calling affordability a hoax. It's not comic, not laughable. It is the real world that impacts everyday Americans, and they ought to be angry.
And lastly, have you heard from farmers in your state? You know, yesterday he unveiled that bailout for farmers impacted by the tariffs. I guess what are farmers in your state saying about this as a solution and the pain that they're feeling because of this trade war?
The through line from tariffs to rising prices is not complicated. You don't need a Nobel economics prize to understand that raising tariffs means increasing prices for people, more and more consumers. So far, a lot of small businesses have absorbed the impact of these tariffs. They can no longer afford it. So they're going to be passing on those costs to consumers in increasing volume and magnitude. Unfortunately, consumers are going to be paying the price, especially around the holidays. And I would predict increasing anger among the American public.
And those are just some of the top stories coming from our nation's capital this Tuesday. For more news like this, you can find more videos on this app. For now, in Washington, I'm Raquel Martin.
Here it is.
You can really tell.
All right, it looks like they're going to actually move those stairs. Oh, go ahead.
No, I don't know. I'm just trying to fill some dead air here for you.
Same presence. You don't really expect to see something like this so close to home, but
watch the president's speech live, uninterrupted on our news streaming app 2822 Now and on 2822news.com. And once the president starts speaking, we will have an uninterrupted showing of his full speech, and we'll have a full wrap up for you tonight at 11 o'clock on 2822 News. Many people braved the cold temperatures to see the president. Security at the event, of course, extremely tight, with many state troopers and Secret Service checking bags and screening attendees before they enter. There was a long line to get inside today.
I go to a lot of these rallies all over the country because the Donald Trump rally is the greatest show on earth. I mean, he's our first rock star superhero president. He's like the real-life Tony Stark. They should just call him President Iron Man.
Some people were in